I think the most powerful thing of working with a coach is you get your edge back. And that edge is that vitality and that drive to live your best life and to experience life at the levels everyone here deserves. But sometimes we got locked in our old pattern or that last chapter, even though we're supposed to be on the next chapter of life and we're still stuck at that part and we don't feel like we're breaking through. But when you get the edge back, it's like a shining day.
Brendon Burchard, welcome. How you doing, buddy?
Brother, I'm pumped to be here. You know I love you and I learned so much from you. So this is going to be an awesome session for people.
Yeah, no, hardly. You are my mentor. You're this icon for me. And the fact that I get to pick your brain, every month or so is just is such a gift, such a treat. So I'm so grateful for you and our friendship and your mentorship. And for you being here today to share some of your wisdom with us. I mean, you've been instrumental in bending the arc of so many people's lives, helping them merge passion and purpose and find clarity and perform at just really their highest level, to step into the highest version of themselves. And, that's not easy to do by yourself. And so, you've been able to establish this infrastructure and build yourself up into just an incredible coach and mentor for so many people. And, I guess I want to start by asking you, are there certain benchmarks or indicators that you use, that help people assess, where they are on their journey and help them to figure out where they need help and how they step into the best version of themselves?
Yeah, I think people's first benchmark is surprising to them. I have the blessing of coaching multiple billionaires right now. And all of them, Jeff, when I sit down with them, I'm in their kitchen, I'm in their boardroom. They're regular people who had a passion, who had a desire, and something really went big. They could put organization behind it. I know it's not relevant to everybody, and people get hooked about the billionaire word, but just hear me out. Because they're still human. And the surprise to them is going to be the surprise to everybody listening, watching right now, because the critical benchmark is so simple. I draw out a little triangle. This is how for everyone who wonders how I get clients, it's so simple. I literally draw out a little triangle. I go, there's only 4 human drives after you have some safety and sustenance. So once you're kind of comfortable, you only want 4 things. The thing is, you lose touch with those 4 things. You're unaware of those 4 things. So the benchmarks are those 4 things. The first one is everybody watching this right now. I guarantee I can tell you what you want more of. Everybody. Doesn't matter, stay-at-home parent, you're a caregiver, you're in good health, you're in bad health, you're rich, you're struggling. I guarantee this is what you want. That's how much I know about human behavior. That's why I became a great coach. Watch this. Tell me if I'm right. You tell me, Jeff, because you align with this one a lot. That first human desire and that benchmark is called aliveness. Everyone listening, your first benchmark is, do you feel alive? Now, I use aliveness as a big bucket. Some people call that passion. Some people call it enthusiasm. Some people call it vibrancy. Some people call it consciousness. Some people call it awakened. Some people call it physically vital. But if you look at your last 2 weeks, are you at the level of aliveness that you've wanted in your life? Because your thoughts, feelings, actions, relationships, and mission has led to a certain level of aliveness that you are feeling satisfied, engaged with, fulfilled by, or the aliveness, it's not there, When relationships end, it's because, some part of that relationship feels deadened, for lack of a better, probably more appropriate word. We feel like, I don't know, I don't feel motivated today, Brendon. I lost my passion, Brendon. The benchmark is there a sense of aliveness? And so many people, they strive for great things. They want to become successful, but they do things that deaden them or steal from that sense of soul and engagement. We'll talk about more of these things, but does that one resonate with you? Because you're doing so many things to feel that aliveness at this stage of your life.
100%. I often think about it as by metaphor with a lighter. So like if you light the lighter and the flame like shoots up and it's animated versus just like a tiny little flicker. And we
Yes.
all know what that's like by dint of our own personal experience. We know what that's like. We know what that feels like. And when we're vital, vibrant, pick your word to describe it, we connect, we achieve, we feel more confident. So I think you nailed that one.
Yeah. And what I love to tell people is aliveness is, there's that mental aliveness and edge. There's that spiritual aliveness. There's the aliveness in your relationship. There's aliveness in your physical temple. And, part of it is sometimes checking in on that. So the first thing you want is aliveness. Second one, I can guarantee everyone, you're still watching, there's 4 things. The second thing everybody wants is deeper connection.
Mm.
Now, deeper connection is the same thing. It's like, well, we want deeper connection with ourselves, our bodies. We want deeper connections, especially with our relationships, or deeper connection with the moment, deeper connection with the divine, deeper connection with the kids. But everybody wants it. And most people sacrifice deeper relationships with other people as they're working their 9 to 5 or chasing the entrepreneurial dream. Or sometimes, even the people in our household, you lose that connection with, and everything else can feel alive. Maybe your work or your mission, your adventure feels alive, but when you lose the connection with your parents, your kids, your spouse, even the people at work, everything else can feel great, but there's like an albatross of like, why can't I make this relationship work? A lot of the people we coach, they come in thinking, oh, I just want this goal, but what we've discovered in high performance research, the difference between just an average successful person and a high performer is a high performer has achieved outstanding external success, but the research shows they also maintained well-being and positive relationships. In other words, they succeeded without wrecking their relationships and their health. So deeper connections. This is why I feel like you're a brother of mine, and I think you and I both approach humanity in a brotherhood style because we know the power of humans and that relationship importance in the satisfaction of life.
Yeah, I mean, I can sense it in myself because when I see you achieve and I see your joy, just that brings me joy. Like it doesn't bring me jealousy or envy, like, oh my God, Brendon's way up there, I'll never get there. It actually just brings me joy. And it's interesting. I interviewed this guy, Robert Waldinger. He's actually a Zen monk, but he's also the director of the longest happiness longitudinal study ever at Harvard. And I asked him, what makes the happiest, most successful human beings? And he said the strength of their social connections. Do their social connections meet their social needs? And I was like, oh, yeah, 100%. So
100%. Everyone wants better relationships. They want better friendships. They don't know how to get them. They want better intimacy with their spouse. They don't know how to get it. And mostly in the relationship category, I've learned, Jeff, is that a lot of people have good relationships, but they're discouraged that it's not better. And they run out of ideas or accountability to make it better. And that's why sometimes, like as a coach or in our coaching businesses, it's like people are surprised to see that their marriage got better. They're like, oh, I thought I came in to build my business or feel more confident. And all of a sudden there's like this intimacy again in life. And they're like, oh, that's what was missing. I didn't even know. The third thing, so the first one's aliveness. Second one is deeper connection. Third one is meaningful pursuits. Now notice I didn't say meaning. A lot of people have meaning and they're unfulfilled in life. I mean, they got amazing family. There's meaning there. They got a good job, good effort, good mission, and something's missing and they never know it's missing. And the word here is very, very purposeful. Pursuits. The human soul is a striving soul. We love to be being, right? Being. That's the aliveness part. Being. But we are also becoming. And becoming is an action. And what happens is that verb part of our soul wants to pursue things that are meaningful to us. But a lot of people, and you know this because you've seen it, you've been so successful, Jeff, you've seen your friends lose their edge. They're like, I don't understand, Jeff. I got a house, I got a job, I made some money, I should be happy. What happened? And I'm from Montana, so forgive my weird language here, but they're not in the hunt anymore. They're not pursuing. They're not in action towards things that matter. They got it and they stopped. And being in pursuit of our passions, being in pursuit of a goal, being in pursuit of a contribution, like how we pursue and being in that pursuit is so important to us. And some people, they get their edge back when you go, hey, you need a meaningful goal, babe. Let's find that meaningful thing for you right now. And most importantly, pursue, move. Because you and I both know people who think about it all day long, but they don't pursue. So they're inspired for a second, but they don't fulfill.
Yeah, I think the moral for me there is that a meaningful life here is not about the product, but about the process, about always moving, about growing. Sometimes when we feel most alive, right, is when we are in either collective enterprise around something or when we're immersed in some sort of creative endeavor where, our sense of linear time starts, to vanish. And sometimes we achieve that like little glimpse of flow state, but that we feel as if we could just keep doing whatever we're doing forever. And it's not about some far off product, but we have inhabited the process of this pursuit. So I love the way that you're framing that.
Yeah, I love what you just said too. It's here. It's here. I'm in it now because the myth of certainly the overall industry that you and I have played in is that there's some external, future, distant, singular purpose.
Right.
And some people go, Brendon, I don't know my purpose. And I'm like, okay, how about we ask a different question? Let's get you a series of meaningful pursuits and put you in motion again. Because when you're in motion again, the motivation and the momentum comes back. There's a compound effect of your contributions again. And I'm here to tell people, when you're in motion with real motivation and movement, doors open that you didn't even anticipate. Because the universe does reward that motion, right? The universe is agentic and expanding, to be a little weird and into physics a little bit here. But it's like, oh, we are that too. We are in that too. And when we are in alignment with that, when we are in motivation and in movement towards things that matter, meaning we are expanding. And all of a sudden, like our opportunities expand. We're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do this. And all of a sudden a purpose is revealed. Not just chosen. Because I would share with everybody listening, and Jeff can corroborate or not, I didn't know this was going to be my purpose. I could not have described this exactly to you at the beginning of my journey before getting to educate and coach millions of people in 190 countries. That wasn't there. I got in motion towards something that was meaningful to me, and doors opened.
Yeah, I can completely relate. I mean, it was revealed once I pursued my curiosity and didn't, set my drishti, my view, my gaze point on some distant external object. Because every time that you do that, the moment that you actually have that thing and the moment you cut the ribbon off that box, some other glittering object appears on the horizon, right? And you're just like on the hedonic treadmill instead of just immersed in the present and in some way just like passionately there, but not always with attachment to some result. So I love the being, belonging, becoming.
Yeah, exactly. And what's amazing about this is, a lot of people that we coach, when we start coaching them, they're kind of like, oh, I'm working with the coaches. I don't know what I want. I don't know what is meaningful right now. Help me gain what we call the biggest benefit of a coaching type thing is clarity. Help me find clarity to what does bring me alive, or what does connect me, or what does feel meaningful at this stage of my life is so vital and so important. So I said there's 4 things: aliveness, connection, meaningful pursuits, and then the middle of the triangle is called growth. Like, we want to grow in capabilities. We are a competent species. Competency is important to us. Mastery is important to us. We gain greater mastery around tools in agriculture. And as a species, we evolved because we got better and better and better at those things. And I think it's important that it's like, oh, that's the human impulses towards mastery. But very few people, outside of the people who are watching with us right now and listening with us right now, you guys are awesome because you're into personal growth. You're into skill development. You want to become a better person for your spouse, for your kids, for the future. And that alignment of our life, where I call it like making self-improvement a way of life, as in the way. The way is all of these things: aliveness and connection, meaningful pursuits, but growing ever into those, growing into my aliveness and passions, growing into my relationships, growing into my contributions at each day, week, stage of our lives. When we sense that we're growing, there's a different satisfaction and strength of life. You rip growth out of someone's life, and the stagnancy that they feel feels like misery. And often they don't know what to do. So I think that's the value of working with a professional or having coaching, is like sometimes there's being in those conversations of clarity, I call them, where it's like, oh, I didn't even know what I didn't know. And a lot of these people I work with, when I draw the triangle on their kitchen table, I'm drawing out a triangle and they're showing aliveness, connection, meaningful pursuits, and growth. They're like, usually people are missing the clarity on what brings them aliveness and growth. They can conceptualize the other ones, but they're kind of at a loss somewhere in here. And we give them clarity, and all of a sudden they're on, man. Like the edge comes back, the energy comes back. This vital movement comes back into their life. And that's why I do what I do, brother. You know, I love this stuff.
Well, you take joy in other people's growth. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, you pulled back the curtain there on what you draw on someone's kitchen table, but I know that there are other tools and techniques that you apply toward effective coaching. So, let us in on just a couple of them.
Yeah, I think the first one is, a lot of people, once they discover what they desire, they get stuck because they're too often, when they're in motion, there's discouragement, there's distraction, and there's lack of discipline. So maybe I tried something, I'm just feeling discouraged, Brendon. I don't have the energy and the motivational drive enough because I feel like I fail a lot. I feel like I'm not capable. So people have worth issues. They have challenges believing in themselves and giving themselves permission. Distractions eating the world alive. It's eating the world. Everyone needs some type of accountability coach in whatever manner that is, because distraction is eating the world. Software didn't eat the world. Distraction ate the world. And what's happening with distraction is the average American, let me give you like basis to this for everyone. The average American is losing an hour a day to scrolling, just like blatant consumption, just like, right?
Yeah.
Well, an hour a day, 7 days, there's 7 hours that you could have put towards your passion or your family or your health. Well, across the month, that's 30 hours. And you're like, wait a minute. Whoa, I just lost 30 hours. Well, 30 hours, I mean, that's a dedicated work week if you wanted it. You're getting a week extra back. Well, obviously, you go into the rest of the year, and what you end up doing when you do this math, you see that people on average are losing an extra work month, what could have been a work month, or a month towards passion, health, their family. So they've lost a month out of 12 months. That's only an hour of scrolling. The average American does 2 hours. So they've lost 2 months that could have literally 8 months or 8 hours a day put towards a passion, health, or family. Then what? Well, it's not just many people are distracted, my friend, of social media for 2 hours a day, though that's the math. They're aimless. They're lacking the disciplines, what we call in our coaching deliberate habits or high performance habits. They're lacking the habits that would unlock them and give them the disciplined momentum that builds a compound effect in their life. So that's the thing that people don't see happening is like a lot of the distraction, and the reason we're doing this is, I'm kind of aimless. And if I'm aimless and I don't have accountability, I never lock back in. Yeah. And we need people to lock back in a little bit to the moment, to the deliberate habits that we know from our research. We conducted the world's largest study of high performers ever done, still to this day. 190 countries around the world, 2 million plus participants, like an unbelievable study to figure out what is it that separates, the top 15% of achievers worldwide who are still happy and positive relationships. And they practice specific deliberate habits that we know when you adopt those habits or we coach you to those habits, you improve your health. There's statistical significance related to your income, your promotability, your happiness with your marriage, your weight, and your ability to feel higher life satisfaction and confidence. The research shows that clearly every single time. And I think that that's what people need to understand. It's like so much, I want to change my life. The first question outside of those desires is, okay, do you have the deliberate habits to advance your life? And are you staying accountable to those deliberate habits? And of course, that's what we do in coaching.
Yeah, 100%. And this is where I think, coaching has such great utility, because really what we're suffering from in many ways is this non-consensual psychological experiment that is, the attention economy or social media. Because it's just my personal experience. Like, I read books, but I find it harder and harder, even though I have to read books for my very livelihood. I find it harder and harder to actually sit down and read 20 pages without being distracted by, one thing or another. And that's someone who actually has built up fairly significant habits. And so where I know that I need help is being able to, for someone to help me identify these subconscious behaviors that I'm engaging in and then make them conscious, help me retrain those habits consciously and then make them unconscious again, such that I don't even have to think about the fact that I'm actually engaging in habits and behaviors in my life that are adaptive. And it is 100x easier to do that when you actually have a partner in that.
Yes, because left to our own devices, we pick up our devices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if you don't have a conversation of clarity and accountability on a weekly basis, then when I ask a question like this to everybody, were you as disciplined over the last 2 months as your family needed you to be? Were you as disciplined over the last 2 months as your business, bank account, and wealth needed you to be? A lot of people will know. And it's not because they're not, they're not bad people. We take our eye off the ball so often, and we lack that understanding of how to overcome our discouragement, beat distraction, and stay in the deliberate habits that make us healthy. Stay in the deliberate habits that make us awesome in our marriage. Stay in deliberate habits that get us progress in our business and our wealth and our finances and our contributions. And so, and I'm not, preaching the choir. I know you know this, and everyone watching this, I just usually go, okay, if you believe all that, do you have a coach? Are you engaged in that truth? If you believe that clarity and accountability every week into the deliberate habits that make your life better would help, then are you doing that? And most people, Jeff, say no. They don't have that yet. And that obviously we kind of broke through on that and realized that when people have that experience, they're like, that's I think my ultimate ripple effect in life is giving people that experience, because otherwise we kind of suffer alone. There's a lot of loneliness in the striving, and it shouldn't feel that way. It should feel really engaging and joyful and alive and meaningful. But sometimes we need prodding, encouragement, accountability, and somebody who believes in us and maybe knows that, path to those habits that makes a difference.
Right. And some non-biased, judgment and feedback. Right.
Yeah.
My mom's always going to tell me that I wrote the greatest book in history. Sometimes I need someone else.
But
someone
sometimes
else's
two people watching, and you know this to be true, their spouse isn't that encouraging, ambitious accountability partner they need to rise up to the next level. Sometimes that sister or that partner or that team, a lot of people are surrounded by downers and negativity, and they've never actually had somebody rip them up and lift them up. It's like, let's go. And sometimes they need that support.
Yeah, to stand on someone else's shoulders. I mean, I can't remember exactly how you put it, but we so often associate habits with maladaptive behaviors and downward spirals. But I think what you kind of just referred to is that once you start to actually instantiate some of these good habits, their upward spirals in your life are possible. And I have experienced that, firsthand, specifically with my physiological health. But it's amazing once you start to stack a few of these things, the upward spiral gains momentum, and you're like, whoa, I'm more fit than I ever imagined I could be, or something to that effect. And so that's the gospel. That's the good news. It's like we can find those upward spirals by just being able to be held accountable to your behavior. So it's amazing what you're helping people with there.
Thank you, brother. Well, I'm excited to help your group and everybody watching at whatever levels we can. This is just awesome.
Yeah. So explain to me, a little bit about what you have set up at Growth, because, you are really enlisting a lot of people and democratizing access to coaching and group coaching. So, paint that picture a little bit for us so people know what's available.
Yeah. When we kind of broke through on the research about what these deliberate habits are, I was like, I want to get this out to the world, so I wrote High Performance Habits. We have all these really expensive, courses and seminars and events and stuff like that. But at the same time, Zoom was coming out, and it was like, oh, I can train up an army of coaches who can support people in this process for free and give them a taste of what would it look like or feel like to work with an actual coach, with a high performance coach. Because most people have never even had a lot of the conversation we just had. I bet people were taking notes. And for those who are taking notes, please take action on what we're going to talk about here today, because you can get a free group coaching session with us. And this free group coaching session is what I was able to kind of unlock, frankly, when Zoom came out. I said, oh, let's get 6-8 people in a Zoom, give them a free experience with a coach, and let them have these conversations to find clarity and to find their strength to move forward in their life again at other levels. Some people come into group coaching in those sessions and they're trying to find their edge again. Some people are just like, hey, I'm struggling with my teenager. Some people are like, hey, I need to lose weight. Everyone has different goals. But what we help them do is identify the habits. So develop clarity on what habits are going to lift you to those goals. That's the question, right? Because if you ask anyone, tell me about a time you changed your life, they might not know it, but everything they're about to say is related to habits. What they did is they became more deliberate. Maybe it was a mindset habit, a way of thinking, or maybe it was the way they started to work, or the way they started to relate with the world or the universe or the divine. But there was a deliberate click that happened where they came into clarity about what to do and how to be. And so that's these free group coaching sessions that we offer for you here gives that ability to taste that and to see that. And if people want to go and work with one of our coaches afterwards, they're welcome to. But I just wanted to give it to the world. I was like, what we're doing here, I'm doing this free for everybody. But imagine if this was interactive and it was a high performance coach like I am, and you're in a group and you can ask the questions and engage. I was like, I can do that free for the world with Zoom? I don't know. Because you know me, I started small. I used to bring people, I'd bring 10, 15 people in the room. I'd just coach them. But now I've got the best coaches in the world who can do that free for people. It's amazing. It's an amazing experience. It's part of the ripple effect of what I want to do in the world, because I think most people right now, their real struggle is finding clarity on the deliberate habits they need to go to the next level. That's the thing. If I knew what to do and I could keep that deliberation, that ability to be conscious and conscientious each day to move towards those things, you'd not only achieve more, you'd feel better.
Yeah, 100%. I want to just prod you personally a little bit around some of your habits, because you're very, very